Welcome to U Talk. I'm Megan Demolina, school counselor at Noble Middle School. Our show is all about the middle school student, testing, bullying, dating, stress, and so much more. We discuss it all. Joining me each month is a dynamic and engaging panel of middle school students ready to discuss the issues and tackle the tough questions. We kick off our show with some Q&A, featuring questions on a variety of topics from middle schools throughout the school system that our panel of students are ready to answer. No question is too tough, no topic is too difficult. All right, panelists, here is question number one, and to kick off the new year, we have a new set, and we're wearing our shades of blue and white. So here we are, our first question. I have a big problem. I have a best friend who I don't really want to be friends with anymore. She has been really rude lately and calls me things like a stick and frequently makes fun of my short height. I have told her to stop, and she says okay, but continues the same the next day. I can't just tell her I don't want to be her friend because my parents and B's parents are good friends. Also, we have been friends since we were like maybe 2 or 3. I have talked to my mom about how I feel, and she says that I should give her a chance, and I have. I sometimes feel like my mom doesn't really understand how I feel. She continues to invite her to places and events when I don't really want to hang out with her. Also, my other friends are all her friends too, and I don't want to abandon them because of how one person treats me. She doesn't treat them the way she does me for some reason. She always finds a way to make fun of me in some way. My mom doesn't want me to unfriend her, and I don't know why. Please help me. So it's quite a middle school dilemma for sure. Any suggestions or advice or personal experiences?
Maybe you could talk to, the friend's parents or whatever, and like say what's going on, and then try to talk to your parents kind of more. Then I know that they're saying that you shouldn't unfriend person, but they should understand. They're your parents.
Absolutely. Continue those conversations as hard as they are. Keep them ongoing because it really lets your parents know and maybe her parents know that it's a problem and it continues. Ava?
Yeah, you should ask her why she's doing that and why she's treating you differently. And if she says that she's not, well, you can tell her that you notice that she is, and she wants you to not treat her differently.
Sure. Absolutely. You have that right to stand up for yourself and say, this is what I'm observing, this is how I'm feeling, and this is how it makes me, feel at the end of the day, and it continues and it needs to stop, because sometimes a lot of students will say that they're just joking around or they're being playful, and it's very hard for some students to find that line or that boundary of when is too much, when it is too much. And it sounds like for this person that it just continues to be too much every time, all the time. How about you, Connor?
See, now I think I'm probably gonna go with the same as Joshua. 'Cause, I know that your parents are always saying because you know that they're parents and they're friends with your friend's parents and they get along. But if you don't get along with your friend and you know that this is a bad situation, I would probably sit down with my parents and go over all of the stuff that he or she has done to me and why it's becoming a problem. And I understand that they want to keep that relationship with your friend's parents, but if it's getting too much, it probably needs to stop.
Sure.
I think you'd probably just talk to a teacher, like a counselor at school, and say how you feel.
Right, finding that extra support person. It sounds like this student has gone to their family, maybe they've tried to talk to the other friend directly, but maybe that extra support person to kind of listen and do some problem solving as far as, what else can be done. Sometimes a mediation does help. Students come together and have a chance to talk about what's really bothering them, because it is hard to tackle that in class or in the hallway or on the bus because you don't really have those private settings. So I would definitely, like you, Maya, encourage that student to seek someone out.
But also, you don't really know what they're going through at home. Maybe the parents might be cool to you, and their parents or whatever, but you don't really know them as much. But like things could be happening, like their parents could be like very like strict at home or like not as understanding, like, and then you got to feel bad for the people, for your friend, and then like, I mean, you just don't really know.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to
Finding
say.
some empathy
Yeah.
for each other, for one another, right?
Yeah, you can figure out the situation and why they're treating you like that and not your other friends.
Right. Especially since this situation has other friends in the circle that they're both friends with, and the fact that they've known each other since they were 2 or 3. So that makes for a long history of friendships, and people change over the years, and sometimes friends come and friends go, but it's okay to take a break as well. You know,
It makes it really hard.
healthy break. It does make it hard, but a healthy break is sometimes always a good solution when you've tried other possibilities or other angles. Thank you, panelists. Our next question says, I started middle school this year, and it has been so good. Oh, excuse me, it hasn't been so good. Key point there. Last year, I was moderately popular. One of the smartest kids in my grade, good at music, art, and even mildly athletic. But now I feel like all the kids in my classes are better than me at everything. And in addition to the already horrific amount of homework they give you, I've started doing after-school clubs, working at my local museum, and gotten more serious about chorus. It gets really stressful sometimes. Got anything that could help? This is another typical middle school scenario that a lot of students are feeling, because it's hard to balance a lot of that, and then you have these other feelings that are really deep and internal about, gosh, last year I was this and that, and now this year I'm feeling less than.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for this student?
Well, maybe she can find a group of friends that she fits in with instead of trying to fit in with the other people that she's not. And she can fit in with the people that she is, I guess.
Sure.
That act like her.
I mean, you're still yourself. I mean, you still are like the same person, and you still have the same friends, and like everybody is like a kid and stuff. I mean, you don't have to like worry so much about if you're like popular and stuff. I mean,
Right, trying
can
to
understand.
balance that feeling of wanting to be popular like elementary school days, but then things change, people change. Workload obviously increases, and that becomes more of a focus. And so if maybe less could be focused on as far as like popularity and being, you know, what this person says, mildly athletic, and just focus on their strengths and what they're good at and getting through. And that's the key, right, to success. Anything else that you wanted to add?
I just say don't try to compare yourself with other kids. I would really want to say like focus on you, and because you can't control what other kids are like, if they're smart or are they not. But you have to really figure out how you're going to be better, like maybe study more often.
Sure.
I mean, you might have come from like a different educational system from other kids, so that might be like a differential, but otherwise I try to say like keep studying, keep like focused on your work, and I think you will do good.
Sure. Thank
keep
you.
practicing.
Well, that wraps up our Q&A. Now coming up in our next segment, Mrs. Turner sits down with a panel of 6th grade students and discusses the transition from elementary school to middle school. We will also talk about Hurricane Florence and how it impacted us in the transition this year. Don't go away, we have much more U Talk ahead.
Start your day with New Hanover County Schools, The Morning Show. This Rise and Shine program will put a smile on your face and a spring in your step. Best of all, you'll start the day a little smarter. The Morning Show features an exciting 6-hour mix of exclusive features, cooking, entertainment, news, science, math, and more. New Hanover County Schools, The Morning Show, educating all viewers to achieve today and tomorrow in a global community. Only on this channel.
Welcome back to U Talk. I'm Paige Turner, school counselor at Noble Middle School. The transition from elementary school to middle school is usually a trying time for 6th grade students. Forming new friendships, rotating classes, and being in a much larger building are just a few of the challenges. This year, Hurricane Florence also had a large effect on our area and the transition for 6th grade students. We welcome our panel of 6th grade students now to discuss their transition this year. Welcome, guys. So it was a little bit different beginning of the school year, wasn't it, than you probably expected?
Instead of it being the single transition, which could have been stressful for a lot of students, it was a double transition because you went in, you were there for maybe a week.
Not even 2 weeks.
And then, like, boom, hurricane comes in, it just shreds through everything that's been built up, and then you gotta start from scratch. It can mess with friendships that you, like, if you started to develop friendships with some people, then, like, it could mess with that because, like, it should just go in and, like, don't know the word for that.
Yeah, well, you started meeting probably some new people, and then just when you really started trying to get to know them, you were out of school for 3-4 weeks. And so, you know, like you said, it just kind of put everything on pause, and then you guys had to restart again.
Yeah, it's like you see, okay, so you first see like your friends that you had in like 5th grade and like in elementary school, and then like 2 weeks later you just don't see them for like a long time, and then like when you come back you're like, phew, finally we're back at school and everything's back to normal. But it takes a long time. Once you've taken like that long of a break, it's hard to come back to like what
My
you've
mom
had.
told us to enjoy the break because we're going to lose a lot of school from it. But like we couldn't enjoy it because we couldn't go to the beach, or we could, you know, it was really messy outside, so kind of stuff.
We were stuck inside a lot of that break.
It wasn't as much of a break as it was. Yeah, you're still out of school, but it was more of solitary confinement inside of a single building or in a place that you're not exactly familiar with. If you had to evacuate and went somewhere that you hadn't been, or just like a grandparent's house maybe, it wasn't like you could just go to the local. It wasn't like you could go to like the local arcade or whatever and just play your games that you knew that were there. You had to like explore new stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great point. It wasn't a break at all. It was, out of school because of natural disaster, which definitely is not a holiday break at all.
Just welcome to school. Oh, look, you have to go out for 3.5 weeks. Sorry.
And welcome back.
Yeah. So what was it like coming back? So you kind of had done your introductions, your teachers were just kind of going over their rules and expectations, you were starting to learn the curriculum, and then the break. So what was it like when you came back afterwards?
So
sorry.
When we started, it was like, okay, so we can like start with a little breeze, and then we like left for 3.5 weeks, and we get back, we're like, paperwork, do all that. And we're like,
I was relieved.
We didn't learn any of this.
Right.
And like it's also affecting even the lessons that some teachers have now. Like my class, we were supposed to do a bunch of stuff, and we just didn't get to do it because the hurricane it took out 3.5 weeks or so of learning time that we could have used to get through certain lessons that we're just now working through.
Right. And the teachers definitely have had to make some adjustments to their kind of pacing and the curriculum, and we are getting 5 days added to the end of the school year, and we're getting some days here or there, but there are going to be days that we just don't make up. And so that does impact it, but hopefully you guys are feeling a sense of we're back into it, and you're kind of feeling a little bit back to normal by this point, I hope.
I was relieved because my mom was driving me crazy about trying to catch up on all the schoolwork that I missed, and like every day she's like, oh, we gotta go. She wanted me to join like a STEM lab and all this stuff, so I was ready to go back because my friends were going back, and I didn't have anything to do, and I was so bored.
Yeah. So she was trying to keep you like busy in your mind going while you were on break.
We were stuck at my uncle's house in Asheville, like way up in the mountains, and like we were there. I'm pretty sure we were there longer than we were supposed to be, just because the way that we were supposed to get back, the whole all the fish on I-90 and just like some destruction to the roads that we were supposed to take back, like it just it all of that, and then there were different routes, and then they had to wait for the stuff to get opened again so you could get back home, and it was crazy.
Right.
And usually school is like any school really, they give you a lot of work before a break. So like, because you're gonna be gone for that long amount of time. So it's really hard because then you have to like, while you're trying to like clean up and stuff, you also have to do some work, and then it's just very confusing because if you were ever affected by the hurricane, it's really hard because then you have a lot of stuff on your plate that you really wouldn't really want to happen to you at all.
Right.
And
Right. And you bring up a really great point. You know, we're talking about the schoolwork and the, you know, the loss of time with your friends, but you know, there's an emotional, you know, impact of the storm.
If your house or belongings took damage to like the water or to the mold and stuff that grew out. Like I had a friend down the street. He his house the storm broke into his roof and like his house was complete. Like the inside was completely covered in mold. So like they've had to move out of the house so it can like they're in a rental house now and like it's had to like they have to get it all like redone and it's just it can take a lot of emotional value out of the house. And this break wasn't even expected, so like the teachers didn't know to stock us up with work to get us through. Like it was a last second thing, and it was like, oh, by the way, you're not coming to school for the next 3.5 weeks because you can't get back.
Well, and no one expected us to be out that long.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what it was going to be like.
I went up to Charlotte to my sister's boyfriend's house, and we stayed there for like a really long time. Like there was like days where like, okay, we're leaving tomorrow, and then we couldn't leave tomorrow. We were like, we're leaving tomorrow again, and we still couldn't leave tomorrow because like there was all this stuff that was messed up, and we were like, this hurricane was bad. And then we actually got to Wilmington, and there was nothing open, like no food places, no stores, no anything. We couldn't even get to Waffle House, which was like open the entire
one of the
hurricane.
only things, exactly.
Yeah. And so like
Yeah.
we were like, we found this one place, and we were like, this is okay. And so we got home. I'm gonna tell you, it was probably the worst thing I've ever smelled in my entire life.
Oh yeah.
Because our fridge was like, it was like brown and nasty, and it was like actual like meat and food that would just like.
It was just sad and spoiled
Yeah,
because of
just
the
all of
no
that.
power.
Yeah.
We brought like most of what we could take, but like still, our back fridge took weeks to get rid of and there wasn't even like anything really in there. Took weeks to get the smell. Like every time I went back there, it smelled so bad.
Well, and I think, you know, coming back after the hurricane, it does take weeks, you know, to kind of recover from something like that, even months. And I know that, you know, a lot of us are, you know, recovered and, you know, dealing with kind of the aftermath, but there's some families in our community that are still dealing with some of the damage and, you know, some of the trauma of that event.
On the way here, I actually saw, like it was a little, like, so there was a stone wall that had been built in front of a house and like an iron gate and stuff, and one of the pillars was just fell over and the gate was like crumpled and like it hasn't all been fixed yet. Most of the main damage has been taken up, but there's still some little things that you just like you see and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Months and months after this happened,
it reminds you of it, exactly. Hearing what you guys are saying, it reminds me of a word. Have you guys heard of the word resiliency before?
Yes.
Do you know what it's like? What do you know? Can you tell everybody what resilient is or resiliency?
Resilience, it's almost like you keep getting stuff thrown at you and a bunch of different bad things happen to you, but you keep fighting, you keep trying, and you work towards it, and you work for it until, like, if you're working on a project, you work on it till it's complete, or if you're just even anything like cleaning up a house, you work on it until it's done.
Right.
Our friend in the hurricane, we were at our friend's because their house was like, they had a full house generator. And so we heard the ambulance come, and my dad was at our house, and my mom was at their house doing laundry since their generator was working and I wasn't. And he had a heart attack. So my dad had to go, like, my mom had to run home and get my dad to do CPR, and he sadly didn't make it. And this was like during the hurricane. So after the hurricane, we all went outside and cleaned up their yard.
Yeah.
So it was like really sad.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's stories, I think, like that, you know, all over the place.
And their whole family was there, but they didn't really get spend time with them because there's like a hurricane going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, you know, what Ben was talking about, you know, resiliency and resilient is what I'm seeing in a lot of you guys, you know, the students at school, is that, you know, you guys are resilient. You know, you had a rough start to 6th grade. It's not what you expected. I mean, you guys knew you were going to be transitioning to middle school, but no one expected you guys to transition like this. And for the most part, you guys have been very resilient. You've kind of gone with the flow, you know, dealt with whatever's been kind of thrown at you guys. But now that we're on the other side of that, you know, you're getting back into the swing of things. You're reconnecting with those friends that you didn't see for 3-4 weeks, you know, developing those new friendships. You're getting used to the routine that you guys, you know, had started. And hopefully by now, I think you guys are really getting into the swing of it. So I think you guys have all been very resilient, and I appreciate it.
As some people might say, this year's 6th grade class has been rubber. We've been bent out of shape, messed with, and just like repeatedly had hard blows to the transition in 6th grade. But we stuck with it, haven't broken, and we've gotten this far.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
The good thing is that we're getting better at we're overcoming all the bad things. I forgot to say, but like when I got into my room, I noticed that the ceiling fell in.
Oh my gosh.
So, and we just like fixed that and redid the ceiling just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Because like the whole time we'd had to have a tarp over it, so the water would like fall onto the tarp, and we had to like
So it wouldn't go into
empty
your room.
it and everything.
And that's just a perfect example of
Insulation
of
everywhere.
weeks, months after you know the storm, and we know we're talking about moving forward, but some families are unable to move forward because they have that reminder constantly of you know that this happened and there's still damage out there.
And there's still damage to our house. Like there's a leaking spot right above our living room that we still have to like put a tarp over that too. And there still is a tarp over it, but it's not like fully recovered yet because we just had to do my room.
Well, I really appreciate you guys sharing your, you know, experiences, and it has been a difficult transition, but you guys are resilient, and you've overcome that rough start, and you guys are all doing amazing in 6th grade, and probably a start to middle school that you will not forget for sure. So, thank you
Very
guys.
hard to reflect on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, panelists. Don't go away. When we return, we talk to our panel about their goals for the new year and looking ahead in 2019.
Your company can join these local businesses in offering students with disabilities the much-needed experience to compete in today's job market. For young people with disabilities, participating in mentoring programs, job shadowing, and internships are great ways to make them stand out among other job applicants. If your company would like to add a student intern, then contact the Special Education Department now at 910-254-4445.
Welcome back to U Talk. It's the beginning of a new year, and many of us have made resolutions and set goals for the year. Our panel joins us again to talk about their goals for the new year and what they are looking forward to in 2019. Welcome back. So I had challenged our panelists today to be thinking of their one word. Sometimes people choose to focus on one word to help them kind of set their goals and intentions for the year. So I thought we could all kind of share what our word's going to be for 2019 and encourage and challenge others in our community to pick their one word as well. Maya, how about you? What did you choose for 2019?
So I chose education because I think it's really important to have like a good education and get good grades, and it's important for the future to be setting your goals and stuff.
Absolutely, and just learning how to balance all of that and apply that to your everyday middle school experience and build upon, even though this is 6th grade for you, each year now builds upon the next and gets you ready for high school, college, and beyond. Great word. How about you, Josh? What's your word?
I chose appreciation. I mean, I need to like appreciate my brothers more, kind of. I mean, they're really cool, but like we get in fights sometimes, more than sometimes. But I need to appreciate like school, like what Maya said and stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's just a lot of things that I need to appreciate more that I have and other people don't, and I need to get better at that.
Sure. Maybe practicing like daily gratitude things, or a journal that you could start, or kind of focusing more on family and life outside of outside of your home and carrying it into learning and education and just appreciation overall. I like that.
Yeah.
Great job. How about you? Connor, what's your word for 2019?
My word for 2019 is organization.
Love it.
I usually have trouble trying to get organized. I want to be organized because it makes me get stuff quicker and I can easily find stuff. And right now I'm a little struggling with organization. And you know, some people out there are. And I'm trying to figure out some ways I can organize myself for 2019.
Awesome. Good luck with that. Let
Thank
me know.
you.
We'll follow up in February and March and see how it's going. Ava, what's your word for 2019?
I chose encouragement because I want other people to keep going and also for me to keep going. Because like if you're in the middle of a book and then like your favorite character dies, don't just stop. Just keep going and then see how the book turns out and stuff.
Finish it till the end, right?
Yeah, don't stop in the middle.
Don't stop. That's awesome. Well, I did choose a word as well, and if you were wondering, I chose the word adventure because I think that this is a good year for me to kind of step outside my comfort zone and maybe travel to places I've never been, or even just in town, like go bowling more often, right? Go play putt-putt golf over at Jungle Rapids or something like that. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2019, adventure. Yeah. Well, welcome. Well done, actually. Welcome as we wrap up the show. Well, thank you all again for sharing your one word. I do appreciate that. Well, that wraps up our program this month. I'm Megan DeMolina on behalf of my co-host Paige Turner and the entire UTalk panel. Thanks for watching. We hope you'll submit questions to our show and tune in again next month for an all-new episode of UTalk.